Welcome to Pinball Mayhem. My name's Jeremy, and today we're going to be looking at this guy right here on the shelf alley. That is the flash motor. What this does is this rotates and causes the lights on the lanes to move side to side. And got a lot of contacts on it that are going to need to be cleaning. The motor's going to need some fresh lubrication, and the gearbox, the old grease, will need to be cleaned out. Thanks. Alright, here is a closer look at the flash motor. As you can see here, we got a part number of 6010 and 9 RPM. So my plan for this is to remove the release coil, as they call it, and I'm going to loosen up the screws that hold the motor, and I'm going to unsolder the two wires that power the motor. Probably before I loosen the screws that hold this bracket on, I'll pull out this assembly, the clutch, and actually it's a little bit of a slip clutch assembly. Pull that off, and I'll pull off the circuit board, and then I'll unscrew the wires and then take this over and take it apart. Okay, I've got the flash motor mostly taken apart. One of the things that surprised me was this spring in here, so when I loosened this screw at the end, the whole thing just kind of shot out, but luckily I wasn't in the way, so it missed me. Something we've got interesting here, this is a piece of cork, and it acts like a slip clutch. So when this motor is spinning and the pawl comes down from that coil, this stops instantly, but the motor will keep rotating a little bit till it ceases movement. Of course, got the fingers here, got the gearbox, and the armature. This is a little different armature than what was in the score motor. It's got a little longer shaft, tail shaft on it. Does not have a spring in this assembly that goes here like that was on the other motor. And also it's got a couple more washers in here. This does not move up and down to release the gear train like the other one did. This is engaged all the time. And that's pretty much it. Once I pop this apart, I will drill this apart, even though it seems quite good. I'll pop it apart and then we'll take a look. I'm guessing because this is 8 revolutions per minute and the other one was 22, we'll see some different gears in there, of course. And we'll start the camera after that. Another thing is it does not have those pipes. Just put the oil right in the end here, and I will be soaking those down shortly. Okay, I've got the rivets drilled out. Got a little crazy on a couple of them, but the rivets were starting to spin, so it's alright. Okay, let's split the case here, hopefully. We'll take a look at what's inside. There we go. And not too bad at all. There's a little bit of wear here. Actually, there isn't. Unlike that other gear, mainly because of the force is going this direction instead of the other direction for this particular gear. So no wear on that area. This gear itself is a little dry, but that's quite alright. Interesting. One peg stayed in this side and one peg stayed in this side, so I'll have to pound that peg here back into this side. But we'll do that next, and we'll clean everything up, put a little lube back on it, and reassemble it. Score motor's all assembled, and I just wanted to show you how it works. I've got it hooked up with the transformer here. The game is not fully functional by any means, but the slip clutch is kind of cool. That's this cork piece right here, and I wanted to kind of show you what I discovered with this. One of the things that was really obvious is when I did my attention test on these fingers is they were all way too tight, and it was obvious they were really grinding into the rivets here. There's also some adjustment here with this piece. The shaft is quite long and it's got a big spring on it which tensions the clutch. You can have it on further in to tighten up the clutch, but my clutch, as I explained earlier, was stuck. Basically this outer half and the inner half were acting as one, and when I pulled it apart it released itself. So I don't have as much tension on it right now because it's gripping really good without dragging the motor down too much. And so that's something I did. Also, I adjusted all the fingers so they were pretty much in line with the rivets. Another thing I had to do is this disc. The two screws that hold it on, it had bushings in there so it couldn't rotate. And that wouldn't have been a problem if these fingers would have lined up, but they did not line up with the rivets when the relay was down. And it would stop halfway in between the rivets, and I didn't want to bend each one of these just a quarter inch or whatever to try to get it to line up. So I pushed out the bushings that were in this piece, and now I'm able to rotate this arm, and we'll just take a look here. Now normally the game would turn on the motor, I believe, and release this at the same time, but it is, unlike the score motor, there is no releasing of the armature. This one is always engaged, and thus that's why they've got the slip clutch in here. So we can turn it on, and the motor is slipping here, and the clutch is tight enough to where it grabs it just fine. The fingers arc without any trouble, and then I believe what the game would do is it would cut the power at the same time to the motor and this relay. So it stops right on the dime where it should. So it's kind of neat to see how that clutch works. And also what I'm looking for is when I stop it, I make sure that all the rivets are lining up with the contacts here. And it's pretty much good to go. I really wanted to get this test in here before I have assemble a game, and then that's one less thing I have to work on. And also, with the contacts not lining up, I could have possibly bent this, but the armature doesn't move, or the relay does not move side to side, so there was no adjustment here on this piece. So I was kind of out of luck on that. But it seems to be working great now, and can't wait to try a game of Flash.